In 1922, a man named Damdinbazar, the Prime Minister of Mongolia, made a shocking claim. He spoke of a deadly worm lurking in the Gobi Desert, a creature so feared that even the bravest nomads dared not tread near its territory. And this worm, he said, was the eternal guardian of Genghis Khan's final resting place. For Mongolian nomads, the death worm is no fairy tale. It's terrifying reality passed down through generations. They warn of the worm's ability to spit venom and even deliver electric shocks, killing anyone who comes too close to the hidden tomb. So to draw a conclusion, whoever finds the mystical creature Mongolian Death Worm will find the tomb of Genghis Khan. Hi guys, welcome to the Eastern Universe. In this episode, we'll talk about the mystery of Genghis Khan's resting place. As is known to all, Genghis Khan, the great conqueror who united the Mongol tribes and built an empire stretching from Asia to Europe, died in 1227 during a campaign against the Western Shah. But till this day, no one knows where he's buried. Could he really be guarded by the Mongolian Death Worm? What really happened in his burial? Follow me and let's find out. If you travel to Ordos in Mongolia, China today, you will surely be guided on a tour to the mausoleum of Genghis Khan. But wait, you would ask, isn't Genghis Khan's burial place not found yet? How can there be a tomb in Ordos? Here's the truth. When Genghis Khan passed away in 1227, his followers created the 8 White Yurts, 8 portable white felt tents that held his most precious relics, his headdress, saddle, weapons, and a tuft of white camel hair that was believed to catch his eternal soul. For centuries, these yurts traveled across Mongolian plains, guarded by the Daha clan, a hereditary group that's protected his legacy for nearly 800 years. It wasn't until the 1950s that this mobile shrine became the fixed, stunning complex we see today. The mausoleum is designed to look like a soaring eagle, a symbol of Mongolian pride, with 3 golden domed main halls that blend traditional yurt architecture with grand imperial design. The main palace, home to a towering white marble statue of Genghis Khan, surrounded by vibrant murals that tell his life story, from uniting the warring Mongol tribes to build the largest contiguous empire in history. You will find replicas of his battle gear here, giving you a glimpse of the conqueror's daily life. Unlike a typical tomb, this cenotaph is a living place of worship. Every year, thousands of Mongolians come here for grand sacrificial ceremonies, keeping Genghis Khan's memory alive. It's not just a tourist site, it's a testament to the enduring legacy of the great Khan, a tangible link to a history that's otherwise hidden by the sands of the Gobi Desert. If the hidden tomb of Genghis Khan is one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles, his sudden, mystery-shrouded death is the equally mysterious prelude to that centuries-long secret. In 1227, during his final brutal campaign to conquer the Western Shah dynasty, Genghis Khan died at the age of 65 in the remote grasslands of what is now northern China. What really killed the great Khan, and why was his death such a closely guarded secret? First, we must understand why Genghis Khan's death was wrapped in such strict secrecy. At the time of his passing, the Mongol Empire was in the middle of a life-or-death war with the Western Shah. His enemies, rival tribes, and even ambitious heirs within his own family would have seized the chance to rebel if word of his death spread. His most trusted generals made a fateful decision. They hid his death completely. They continued the campaign as if he was still alive, issuing orders in his name and keeping his death a secret for months until the Western Shah was fully defeated and destroyed. Every soldier and servant who witnessed his final days was killed to ensure silence. Even in official Mongol records, like the Secret History of the Mongols, the most sacred and ancient text of the Mongol people, details of his death are vague and brief. This deliberate erasure of the truth is why 800 years later we are left with more questions than answers. According to the Secret History of the Mongols, written shortly after his death, Genghis Khan was on a hunting expedition in the autumn of 1226. While riding his horse, he was thrown violently to the ground, sustaining severe internal injuries. At 65 years old, after decades of relentless campaigning, harsh travel, and countless battles, his body was already worn thin. The fall left him in constant pain, with a high fever that never broke. He refused to halt his campaign against the Western Shah, determined to crush his enemies before he died. His condition worsened steadily over the winter, and by the summer of 1227, he succumbed to his injuries and complications from the fall. Many modern historians consider this the most plausible explanation, as it aligns with the only contemporary Mongol records and fits the harsh, physical demanding life of a nomadic warrior conqueror. One of the most dramatic and widely spread legends about his death centers on a forbidden act of revenge. As the story goes, after the Mongols captured a Western Shah royal palace, they seized a beautiful Western Shah princess, taken as a captive for Genghis Khan. Filled with hatred for the man who had destroyed her kingdom, she vowed to avenge her people. Some versions of the legend claim she stabbed him with a hidden dagger while he slept. Others tell a far more shocking tale that she bit or maimed him during their private meeting, leading to a fatal infection and blood loss. This story appears in later Mongolian chronicles like Altan Topji, the Golden History, and was passed on through nomadic oral traditions for generations. While there is no concrete historical evidence to prove this happened, it has become a beloved tragic legend painting Genghis Khan's death as a final act of resistance from conquered people. Over the centuries, foreign historians and travelers added their own theories to the mystery, each more dramatic than the last. The famous Venetian traveler Marco Polo wrote in his memoirs decades later that Genghis Khan was shot by a poisoned arrow during the siege of a Western Shah fortress. The poison slowly spread through his body, and he died weeks later from the wound. This story was popular in medieval Europe, but has no support from Mongol or Persian sources. A 13th century Catholic missionary who traveled to Mongolia shortly after Genghis Khan's death claimed he was killed by a bolt of lightning, seen as a punishment from the sky for his cruelty, but is widely dismissed by modern scholars. Persian historians, whose works documented the Mongol Empire in great detail, wrote that Genghis Khan died from a severe sudden illness, likely typhoid fever, pneumonia, or a gout flare-up, common ailments in that era for a man of his age and lifestyle. This theory overlaps with the full account, as his injuries likely weakened his immune system and made him vulnerable to disease. To understand where Genghis Khan might be buried, we must first grasp the non-negotiable rules of 13th century Mongolian royal burials. First, absolute secret burial, no markers ever. Mongols believed hiding the tomb was the only way to protect the Khan's spirit and keep his resting place undisturbed. So after burying the body, they drive thousands of horses over the grave to flatten the ground completely, then wait for a month until grass grew back over it. By the time they left, you couldn't tell the grave apart from the rest of the steppe. No mounds, no stones, no inscriptions, nothing. Second, single log coffin, no fancy treasures. Genghis Khan's body was put inside a coffin carved from one single massive tree trunk, sealed tight. And while there were small sacrificial items, there were no gold-filled tombs. This wasn't a treasure hunt, it was a quiet, spiritual burial. Third, the camel ritual for family remembrance. They'd kill a young camel right in front of its mother at the gravesite. The mother camel would never forget that spot, so every year the family would follow her to mourn. But when the mother camel died, the secret location died with her. That's why no one in later generations could find it. And the most important rule of all, return to the ancestral homeland. No matter where a Mongol Khan died, even if it was hundreds of miles away on campaign, his body was brought back to the Borjigin clan's ancestral lands for burial. This is non-negotiable, and it rules out so many fake locations right off the bat. With all the information above, we have the most probable burial spot, backed by both customs and history, the Khentii Mountains in northern Mongolia, specifically Burkhan Khaldun mountain. Why here? Let's connect it to the burial rules we just talked about. First, this is Genghis Khan's birthplace and the most sacred mountain in Mongol culture. He spent his early years here, prayed here when he was in trouble, and even declared this mountain the spiritual home of the Mongol Empire. For a Khan who valued his roots above all else, choosing his secret ancestral mountain as his resting place checks every box for the return to homeland rule. Historians also link this area to Qiniangu, the name of Genghis Khan's burial ground written in the history of the Yuan dynasty. Modern research has proven Qiniangu is a hidden valley within the Khentii Mountains, exactly the kind of remote, flat-able spot perfect for a secret burial. And in recent years, archaeological teams have found clues here too. In 2015 and 2016, two expeditions led by French archaeologists Pierre-Henri Guiscard and Raphael Hautmont, a specialist in scientific imaging, around the Khentii Mountains support the theory of a tumulus at the top of the Burkhan Khaldun mountain. But here's the catch. Mongolia has declared this area a secret protected site, so no full excavations allowed. The secret is still buried, but all the evidence points right here. Back to the mysterious Mongolian death worms that are said to guard Genghis Khan's tomb in the beginning of this video. It's a wild, super viral myth that's circulating on the internet for years, but sorry I have to debunk it in the rest of this video. The biggest, most obvious flaw in the legend is geography. The Mongolian death worm is only said to live in the western and southern Gobi Desert, the dry, sandy, barren dunes of southern Mongolia. But as we proved in Chapter 3, Genghis Khan's tomb is in the Khentii Mountains in northern Mongolia, a region of lush forests, grasslands, and river valleys over 700 kilometers away from the Gobi. These are two completely opposite ecosystems. It's like claiming a desert rattlesnake guards a cave in the Amazon rainforest. It's physically impossible. This alone debunks the entire guardian myth. For decades, the researchers, zoologists, and expedition teams have traveled to the Gobi Desert hunting for proof of the death worm, including a 2005 expedition led by zoologist Richard Freeman and multiple reality TV expeditions in 2006 and 2007. Not a single team has found a single specimen, body, photo, or concrete evidence the worm exists. Scientists have a logical explanation for the sightings. What people claim is a death worm is almost certainly a misidentified known animal. It's likely a large, boring, legless lizard, a skink, or a rare snake that lives in the Gobi. The stories of venom and electric shocks, their exaggerated folklore, passed down through generations to make the desert seem more mysterious and dangerous. There are no known worm species on Earth that can produce electric shocks or lethal melting venom. This is pure fantasy, not biology. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Verona. If you like my content, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm always here to share more strange and fascinating Eastern stories. See you next time.